please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. For a lot of us, Flipkart has been an interesting story. Of course, when it started, it was India's Amazon. Now, of course, Amazon has overtaken even Flipkart in India as well. But for now, the big deal is happening. Walmart, Flipkart. Shireen will tell us. Shireen?
Well, that is right, guys. We have been reporting about this proposed deal for a while now, and we do have all the details. What I am given to understand is that Walmart and Flipkart are all set to sign a definitive agreement. My understanding is it could happen any day now. All the details have now been ironed out. Let me now give you the contours of this deal. What we are given to understand is that Walmart's investment will include about $2 billion in new equity funding, and this will be used to further expansion and accelerate growth for Flipkart in India. Walmart will fund the Flipkart majority stake buy using cash on hand as well as newly issued debt. And on account of the acquisition of Flipkart, Walmart does expect some headwinds on the EPS front because remember, while this is a big opportunity in the long term, in the short term, Walmart does expect this to impact its EPS. Now, the financials of Flipkart will be reported by Walmart International post the deal closure. Now, Walmart and Flipkart, I am given to understand, are also in talks with other potential investors, but Walmart will hold majority even if other potential investors participate in a next round of funding post the closure of the Walmart-Flipkart deal. What's also interesting is that existing shareholders in Flipkart, Tencent, Tiger Global, they will continue to stay on to some extent. So they will hold on to some of their existing stakes, and they will continue to be on the board of Flipkart as well. And Google comes on board. Google will be the new shareholder, as we've been reporting, will come on board once the Walmart deal closes. What is also interesting here to note is that SoftBank, as our colleague Kritika Saxena had reported, will exit completely. There was some difference of opinion on whether they would stay on to some extent or whether they would exit. We are now given to understand that SoftBank is likely to exit altogether. What is also going to be interesting to note is that Walmart has given an assurance that it is likely to take Flipkart public over the next few years. It will make it a majority-owned subsidiary in a few years, and it also is proposing a public listing of Flipkart. Flipkart's founders will also stay on the board. Binny Bansal is expected to continue to stay on with Flipkart. Sachin Bansal may exit, is what we are given to understand. Now, taking you through the details of what happens post the deal closure, Walmart's investment will be used to build retail infrastructure, especially in rural India, to build an agri-supply chain. What does this bring to the table, really? Flipkart is hoping to leverage, obviously, Walmart's retail expertise, but especially in grocery and merchandise supply chain knowledge is what we're given to understand, that they see a lot of expertise and value add coming in from Walmart. But again, for the benefit of all of our viewers, what happens to the brands? We are given to understand that Flipkart and Walmart, while leveraging synergies on the back end, will continue to operate distinct brands.
Yeah. Shireen, thank you very much. Markets have opened, so we'll concentrate on the Walmart story later. It's, as I say, began with a 5% uptick, but now up 2.5%. So the bonhomie continues, but it's not a huge opening for ICICI Bank. I mean, nothing like Axis, because a lot of it is already in the price. The indexes are opening about 1/3% higher. And Bharti Airtel, no connection to this. They had an old affair with Walmart. But at the moment, actually, Bharti Airtel is also rising, up 2.7%, as is Bharti Infratel. Titan is the other stock that's doing well. But ICICI Bank is sticking to a 2.5% gain. The metals are opening lower, and of course, IOC, HP, and BP are all opening lower.
Well, Tata Coffee is the other one that's opening lower. I mean, it used to be a big wealth creator, a couple of years back, but this year it's had it quite rough, and the earnings were also quite weak, so that's down about 3.5%. McDowell Holdings is down almost 20% in pre-opening. As we flashed earlier, McDowell Holdings has transferred 0.63% equity to the Enforcement Directorate on the 3rd of May. So McDowell Holdings should just come up for you. There's a big crack over there. PNB Housing as well, down almost about 5.5%. We spoke about that earlier. And on the upside, ICICI Bank is now up almost 5%. So just keep an eye out on that. And let's take a look at both Exide. Exide is up almost 0.5%. Amara Raja Batteries has also been showing some traction.
Yeah, PC Jodhar is up 10% out of F&O ban, so it will be interesting. The stock has doubled in 2 days, but one of those stocks where the first rate can't be the last rate. Of course, a couple of these NCLT stocks have done well over the last 2 or 3 days. Bhushan Steel, for example, Castex, JP Infra. Some of these stocks are seeing a bit of an uptick. And of course, Oil India is up 5%. So some of these upstream companies doing well. But really, ICICI Bank, I don't know. If it settles 5% higher in pre-open, because that could change things a bit. You thought maybe 1 or 2% higher, but 5% higher would mean a breakout as well. So that, of course, I think could be interesting on that stock.
Okay. Well, actually, I wanted to start with that. ICICI above 300. It was, of course, dilly-dallying. Started at 5, went down to 2%, and now again at 5. Ashwini, if it starts 5% higher, as Anuj says, is that a breakout of the stock? Would you buy it at that level?
You can't buy it, but if somebody carried home long positions or is long from 260, maybe this is a good place to take profits. It's not going to turn around tomorrow or next month. It will still be a long process. So if you are getting this 5% gap up, definitely take some profit.
Okay, Prakash Diwan, any thoughts on how to approach Tata Coffee? I mean, we've of course spoken about that here, but this time around, the EBITDA falling almost 70%.
Yes.
Is that a bit of a shock?
Yes, that's been definitely a disappointment of sorts, given the fact that it was in a sweet spot in terms of the growth that it has been seeing, and then coffee prices have also been fairly firm. So we'll really have to re-look at what's caused this. But this entire space, as I was telling you, is definitely something which, if you want to work on, one of the best ways to play this is Tata Global Beverages. Because that is getting much more well-rounded in terms of its product portfolio, and there's some renewed focus. It's kind of reviving some of its very strong brands. The Ayurvedic tea blends, the different kind of tonic waters. So I think Tata Global is the one that you will probably see much more, rapidly taking the stride to reinvent itself. Tata Coffee still seems to be in the doldrums.
Okay, well, let's look at the rupee opening as well and check if there is any impact of crude. The rupee should come up for you. Well, just
it's
still
flat.
waiting.
It's flat, Lata, for now. Had a lot of weakness yesterday, and of course,
yeah, 67.13 when we went to bed, so it's only 3 pies higher now. But crude also, after touching 75.6 this morning, has retraced a bit. Yeah. So perhaps it's wait and watch. But remember, dollars started very soft yesterday. It actually weakened a bit, and then dollar suddenly surged. So we still cannot be very sure how rupee might take the impending announcement from President Trump on Iran and the future course of crude. So that's something to monitor for sure. Well, Prakash, anything else in terms of the results that impressed you, Exide in particular?
Yeah, no, we spoke about Exide. So, and in fact, interestingly, Sonia also mentioned whether Amara Raja would benefit out of that rub-off effect, and I guess that would happen. So I think overall, the numbers have been fairly interesting. I was quite surprised to see even some of the cement majors get away with decent margins and realizations, which was not expected. So then you could probably start looking at some of the smaller cement players to also benefit. And as Anuj said, the interesting pocket to look at will be, the JP twins, given the fact that the management has talked about, paying off all the loans suddenly, 10,000 crores worth this thing. And there's renewed interest, given some big names that have also invested in Infratech.
In fact, this week there are a lot of big numbers coming in. There's Eicher Motors, there's Asian Paints, a lot of the companies that you track. Anything that you would buy ahead of numbers?
Not really, Sonia. I mean, in fact, paints I'm slightly negative this time around. And given the fact that crude will start impacting them significantly, the only pocket of buying this thing space that we've identified is FMCG, and we believe that is getting to be a very strong pocket to go with. The likes of Nestle and ITC. I mean, they're really secular trends that are kind of now setting in place. So we'll only look at that. Otherwise, we'll wait for the numbers and then hope there are no shocks.
Okay, pre-open has settled 222 points higher on the Bank Nifty, almost a 1% move. This is interesting considering that we are still on Tuesday, and if you look at the weekly options, 26,000 calls have a lot of open interest. So, and of course, ICICI Bank is leading it, 4.5% higher in pre-open, 42 points higher on the Nifty. Ashwini, this is not a gap up that will chase on the Nifty or on the Bank Nifty?
Well, you know, the gap ups which happen on news and which is kind of quote unquote expected, maybe you, at higher levels you could look at shorting opportunities because you had a 200-point move yesterday. On top of that, another 200. So the 200-point gap up may not sustain on the Bank Nifty. That's my point. But overall, right now at the open, I don't think there is a great opportunity on any of the indices. 914, maybe you could look at buying into a Reliance because that's a fresh breakout yesterday, and that's a buy with a stop of 965, target of 990.
Okay, at what point will you short the Nifty Bank, you say?
Well, if the open does not sustain and starts collapsing right after the open, and that's a possibility. So if that tends to happen, if it loses 100 points within the first 5 minutes, then obviously people have sold at higher levels. But when you get this sort of news-based huge gaps, often we've seen that it does not tend to last throughout the day.
Okay. You're 9, yeah. Your 910 call?
Yeah, that is, I think
okay, he discussed that. All right. Yeah, Prakash, Diwan, just some quick thoughts from your end on M&M. That one too is approaching a new high now. Yeah. Do you see it touch 1,000 rupees anytime soon?
We'll have to define soon, but I do, yes, expect it to be doing extremely well. And as I was referring to the last time, that the entry-level segment in which Maruti started blinking a bit is where, Tata Motors and M&M have started getting into. The KUV relaunch has been very successful, and tractors has been helping them. And when you look at the M&M stock on a console basis, it has a lot of other moving parts which have started converging very positively. I mean, MHRIL, Mahindra Life Spaces, M&M Financial itself. So all put together, it's definitely getting to leverage on its energies as a group. So I definitely feel it could, but it could take some time because the run-up from 700 odd has been fairly significant. It will probably consolidate a bit here, but definitely the next wave could take it to those 4-digit levels.
Okay, just also keep an eye on First Source. Yesterday it came, with results during market hours. It fell initially because the headline number didn't look good, but the internals were quite okay. And that stock right now up 1.5%. Any quick thoughts on this one, Prakash?
It's been one of my favorites. So okay. I was. That's why I was saying the numbers for Exaware, FSL will look a bit tepid because the expectations have been riding so high from IT as a whole, as a sector. But these are stocks that will be much more strongly, driven in terms of the earnings trajectory. Especially given the uniqueness of the business in FSL with the healthcare vertical being so strong. So definitely it's a stock that you could continue holding in your portfolio, add on dips as well.
Okay, well actually today the sinosure of of an investor's eye or a trader's eye would be the Bank Nifty. It is settling in pre-market with almost 1% gain, 0.86, and the important point is now it's getting support from not just the retail banks but also the private sector corporate facing banks like an ICICI. It's starting with 4.2%. We don't know how much of that can be carried forward, but that's a great start. Well, there is a little bit of a rub-off effect on other private sector banks which are not at all in this league. Ashwini, would you look at a bank like Federal or even DCB?
See, DCB looks like, that's in a strong uptrend, mild correction. So possibly if ICICI Bank is going to move up, most corporate banks are likely to move higher. So DCB I would buy instead of Federal.
Okay, the IT stocks look like they're going to move up today as well. Prakash, Gaba, what is your favorite IT stock to track now?
I think I'll go with Wipro. That seems to be a better bet comparatively. I think ITs can go from its poised for up move. I think Wipro can climb to around 285 zone, stop below 270, should be fine.
Okay, and is Rajat with us? Rajat, you I think had some steel stock. You had JSPL on your list, right? Is there any other metal stock you would play? Rajat,
What was your question?
Well, any other
metal stock? I would go with Tisco.
Okay.
I would go with Tata Steel. Tata Steel, I would put a stop loss at 590, 591 level and expecting 610 to be rescaled once again. This is one of the better metal stocks in my view.
Okay. Well, Prakash, this crude theme, how are you playing it? Any stock on your radar like Aban?
No, not at all. No, in fact, more than just crude, there's another interesting development that's converging, and that is the announcement of the NELP. You know,
Okay.
so that was bid by a lot of people very enthusiastically, and once that's out, probably another week's time, you'll see all these offshore drilling companies get re-rated. But I would still wait for. Aban is of course not on the buying list, but we'll probably discuss it some other time.
All right. Well, we are close to the market, the opening bell, and so let's just wait and see whether Nifty Bank is able to hold that. Nifty Bank is able to hold that 0.86.